Alright, welcome back, and thanks to all of you who watched my video previously. I want to just say that you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head with this one. It wasn't too hard to guess, but it ended up unfolding to be a pretty interesting case. As you know, this is just, I have it here to kind of remind you where we were. And then, I'm going to go back a little bit and what the audiogram looked like previously. One person said that a stanger would have been interesting at 1K. I would like to fill you in now that a stanger was positive at 1K during this test. I didn't provide all the results because I didn't have the official audiogram to show you, but now I'm going to kind of take you on a retrospective case because following recording the first video, we did get all of the previous audiograms that this patient received, and it gets a little interesting. So as you can see, these are the DPOAEs and pure tone results from 2019. Basically, there's a big conductive component, and yet somehow we have perfectly normal OAEs. Talking to the previous audiologist, she had the same concerns that we did. So she even went as far as to do, or she even pulled up the patient's old ABR results, which was performed on October 1st of 2018, and they also showed normal results. So going back even further, in 2018 we had higher thresholds. This was a screening, and so was the one done in December of 2017. Again, these thresholds seem to just keep dropping over time. There was an evaluation on October of 2017 done that showed a pretty flat, mild hearing loss, and then in 2016 even more so, a pretty much normal hearing with just maybe a slight noise notch. But, and also I think the video might cut it off, but in this eval in November of 2016, you can also see that there were present DPOAEs here as well. So ultimately, you guys hit the nail on the head with this patient. It was most likely a non-organic hearing loss, where it gets a little weird. So the whole reason she came in was because she wanted new ear molds. She kept telling us about how she wanted the kind that would fill up her entire ear. So she wanted them to be very visible, colorful, sparkly, you name it, she wanted it. And she also wanted, for her next pair of hearing aids, once she qualified through her insurance, she wanted them to be the biggest hearing aids that she could get. So again, very noticeable hearing aids. One problem with this was that this patient does have extremely small ear canals, and we did order her an ear mold, and our audiologist decided that it would be best if we could get it with the biggest venting possible, and that is so that we don't do more damage as to hurt her ears, because we don't really know where her hearing is because it hasn't been consistent at all. Now, the manufacturer did send us an ear mold, but they couldn't make it to the specifications that we or she wanted. The ear mold is extremely tiny. It looks literally like a pediatric ear mold. But venting became really difficult, and which also makes fitting very difficult, even on top of having a non-organic hearing loss. So the entire time we talked to this patient, she was talking to us either through email or through a ASL interpreter for her appointments. There were times, though, that she would respond to us verbally, and we were visibly able to see that she was responsive to sound, or things that we were saying, even when our backs were turned to her. If there wasn't the interpreter in the room, she was able to respond to us. So that's just another hint at what we already kind of know. We did do a ton of counseling with her. She mentioned wanting to be part of the ASL community, and that she is going to a school where she gets to do that more often. But it is kind of obvious that it's for that reason that she wants all these big ear molds and big hearing aids. We've talked to her a lot, and she refuses to let it go. This is really what she wants, and another interesting thing about this case was that a couple weeks later we got another patient in who was the same age as this patient. She even told us that she was referred to us by this patient. That patient also said she had a fluctuating hearing loss, and has very similar test results and requests to this original patient. The interesting thing about this other patient too is that we have had multiple audiologists in our clinic test her, and due to the drastic fluctuation within weeks of testing her, so she brought back test results from Utah. 1 week she saw us the next week, and then saw another audiologist at our clinic the following week, and the changes were so drastic that we referred her to an ENT. But ultimately it's been kind of hard to counsel this patient, or to figure out really what to do, even in terms of putting hearing aids on her, because she's already had them. So it's hard to say no to a patient who already has hearing aids in terms of getting hearing aids again. So my final thoughts on this case, pretty much you hit everything right on the head. Both patients are most likely to have a non-organic hearing loss. They both wanted to be part of the deaf community. We referred both of them to ENT for asymmetry and fluctuating hearing loss. Nothing significant was found. So I guess my final thoughts to you guys was, would you meet these patients' requests and give them new hearing aids, new ear molds? How would you fit them if you did? And can you even go as far as to say that you're not comfortable fitting this patient with a hearing aid, or getting new molds for these patients when you know that their results are not likely valid? We're still counseling her. We're still working with her, both patients, to figure out what we are going to do next. It hasn't been easy, but I hope this just gives you guys something to reference in the future when it comes to patients with non-organic hearing losses. So have a great rest of your internship or externship.